After coming on yesterday, I've been working on this new piece of equipment so that you can see what I'm doing better. And I think I have it positioned quite right, a little bit more accurate than it was. So I thought I would at least come on with you today and do a little practice writing. Now, today, I'm going to use this type of ink pen and see if we can form new letters. Today, we'll be trying the letter J and K. But let's go over the letters that we've already learned. A through I. So let's give it a shot at writing those. Now, with this new piece of equipment, I think you see that my paper is slanted to my right. That way, that will help me form my slanted letters better. Let's make the capital A. Around, up, down that same line, and don't forget the tail. That's the capital A. Let's do it again. Down, up, around, touch that bottom third line, and don't forget that tail. Let's try it again. Put your writing utensil on the top line, down, back up that down line, around, forming that letter A, down that line, and the tail. Let's do it again. Down, up, around, form down that same line, A. Now I messed that one up a little bit. So you see, we've got to practice. It's okay. Down, back up, around, down to the third line, down that same line, don't forget that tail. Down, up, around, up, down that same line, don't forget that tail. Down, up, around, down that same line, tail. Around, tail. Now the letter A, this is the capital A. You know the little a is created the same way. The only difference is we start on that center line. Down, up, around, up, down that. Don't forget that tail. Don't forget that tail. Now let's do it slowly. Down, up, around to that third line. Up, down. Don't forget that tail. Now the letter A, you never lift your writing utensil to create that letter A. There we go. Now let's write them side by side. Capital A. Little a. Capital A. Little a. Capital A. Little a. That's the letter A. And let's get a clean sheet and let's draw the letter B. Now you remember the B? My paper is slanted. I'm on a table today, so I'm using my arm. We're going to smile down. Now with the B, we lift our writing utensil. We're going to make that first hump, back out the second hump, capital B. Smile down. Hump, capital B. I'm sorry, I draw it closer to me, but you can still see. Smile down, make that hump, smile down, Lift your writing utensil. Make that first bump. Capital B. Little b. Third line up to the top line. Loop straight out. B. Up, loop, straight out. B. Up, loop to the center line, straight out. Straight out. Little b. Now let's draw them together. Smile down. Lift your utensil. B. Little b. Loop out. Smile down. Oh, I forgot to come out with that tail. Little b. Loop out. Capital B. Smile down. Little b. Let's try the letter C. Down, up and around. Capital C. Down, up and around. Capital C. Down, up and around. Now you make yours better than mine. Capital C. Let's do the capital C and the little c. Why? The little c is the same. It's just smaller. Capital C, little c. Capital C, little c. The capital C, we touch all three lines. This is the top line, past the center line, around on the bottom line. Little c, we're on the center line, around to the bottom line. Capital C, top line, down to the bottom line. Little c, center line, bottom line. Now let's do D. Smile down and around. Loop. Smile down and around. Loop. Smile down and around. Loop. Smile down, around, loop. Capital D. You don't lift your writing utensil when you're forming the capital D. Smile down, around, loop. Smile down, around, loop. Let's do it again. Smile down, around, loop. Capital D. Smile down, around, loop. Practice some more on the capital D. Now let me get a new piece of paper. Let's try. We're just practicing. Capital D. Smile down, around, loop. Little d. Around, up to the first line, back down that same line. Don't forget that tail. D. Little d. Capital D. Smile down, around, loop. Little d. Make that circle. Up, down. Don't forget that tail. Little d. Let's do it again. Around, up. Don't forget that tail. Come on. Around, up. Don't forget that tail. Around, up. Don't forget that tail. Around, up, tail. Capital D, smile around, loop. Little d, around, up to the first line, down. Don't forget that tail. Capital D, smile around, loop. Little d, up, down that same line, and don't forget that tail. E, capital E, down, up, around on that center line, capital E, down, up, around, center line, capital E, capital E, capital E. Little e, we're going to start at the third line, up, loop, that's it. Third line, center line, that's it. That's it. That's it. That's the little e. Now let's do both together. Capital E, down, up, loop to the center line, third line. Little e, third line, loop, don't forget the tail. Capital E, little e. Capital E, little e. Now let's do the letter F. We're going to do the top line, down to the third, around, lift your writing utensil and cross. Down, down to the third line, cross. Top, third line, cross. F, down, cross. Top, lift your utensil, place it in the center, down, cross. Capital F. Top, down around, cross. Top, down around, cross. Top, down around, cross. Top, down around, cross. That's the capital F. Get a clean sheet of paper. F. Top, down around with that funny smile, cross. Now the little f, start on the third line, up, loop, down to the fourth line, and back out. Now, piece of equipment is in the way, but let's see. Up, loop, down to the fourth line, out. Up, loop, fourth line, out. Up, fourth line, third line, out. Let me do it slowly. Little f. 1, 2, 3 lines. We're on the third line. Up, loop, down to the fourth line, around, and out. Did you get it? Up, down, round, out. up, down, out. Third line, up to the top line, fourth line around, out on that third line. That's the little F. Now let's do the capital F, top, around with that funny smile, across. Little F, third line up, loop, down to the fourth line, and out. Capital F, top, funny smile, cross. Little F, up to the top line, down to the fourth, third, out. Capital F, down, lift your utensil, put it in the center, cross. Little F, up, down, out. Now you remember the G yesterday. We have this G. Around to the third line, up, down that same line. That's the capital G. Little G, around, up, down, little G. Then we learned this G. Down, around, smile, around, and the little G is the same. Around, down, don't forget that tail. Third line, up, first line around, smile, first line, around, capital G, little G. Around, down that same line. That's your little G. Let's try that G again. You can form your G like this, around, down, fourth line, got that tail, little G around, down, just like the capital G if you write it like that. Around, down to the third line, capital G, little G, capital G, little G. But now if you want to do this capital G, you're going to go to the third line, up to the first line, loop, smile, around, that's the capital G. Little G doesn't change. Capital G, third line, loop, smile, little G. Capital G, up, smile, little G. Practice. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Practice. The letter H. Capital H. Smile, down. Lift your writing utensil. Come over just a bit. Down, up, and out. Smile, down. Over a little, down. Smile, down. Lift your utensil, move it over. Smile. That's your H. Smile, down. Over a little, back up, capital H. Little H. Loop, back up to the center. Don't forget that tail. Little H. Up. Don't forget that tail. Loop. Center. Don't forget that tail. Up. Loop. Back up. Don't forget that tail. Don't lift your writing utensil for the little h. Lift it on the big H. Capital H, the big one. Smile down. Move over, down, back up to the center. Little h, don't lift. Make your loop around, up to the center, tail. Capital H, smile down, move over, down, up on that center line. Little h, up, down, don't forget that tail. Capital H, smile down. Move over, down, up, and over. Little h, up, loop, down. Don't forget that tail. The letter I, capital I. You're going to go out with that funny smile, up, loop around. Up with that funny smile, up, loop around. Funny smile, up, loop around. Funny smile, up, loop around. I, funny, up, funny smile, up, funny smile, up, funny smile, up, funny smile, up. Don't forget that tail. Little I, up, down. Don't forget to dot the I. Up, down, 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 dot the I. Capital I, funny smile, up, loop, tail. Little I, up, don't forget that tail, dot the I. Capital I, funny smile, loop, tail. Little I, third line, second line, back down, tail, dot the I. Capital I, funny smile, up, loop to the first line, tail. Little I, up to the second line, back down that same line, tail, and dot. Capital I, funny smile, loop at the top line, tail. Little I, third line, up to the second line, tail, dot the I. Capital I, little I, dot. Capital I, little I. And you see the bottom? Capital I, little I. Capital I, little I. Capital I, little I. Let's try that J. Capital J. We're going to start at the third line. We're going to come up, make a loop on that first line, down to the fourth line, and cross over. Third line, up to the top line, fourth line, cross over. Third line, up to the first line, down to the fourth, cross over. J. J, J. Let's try it again. 3 lines. Third line up, loop, down to the 4th line, cross over. Third line up, 4th line, cross over. Third line up, 4th line, cross over. Capital J. Let's try it again. J, 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 J. Now that's the capital J. Little j. Let me see. J, J, J. Start at the center line down to the 4th line. Make that tail J and dot the J. Put your dot over your J. Now you see I left the tail off. So let's get that tail in. J, J. Now let me tell you about this tail on this side. This connects to the previous letter in a word. So let's see. I can't think of a word right now. But the previous letter, a letter before the J, that's what this tail comes from to form the little J. And dot the J. You're not going to lift your writing utensil to form the J, but you will to dot it, to put the dot above it. So the letter J and the letter I in the little J and the little I has a dot over it. Let's try it again. The beginning tail down to the 4th line. Don't forget that tail. J, 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 J. Now let's write them together. The capital J and the little j. Let me move the yellow pad. There we go. The capital J, third line, loop, down to the 4th line, crossover. Little j, up, bottom loop, tail, dot. Capital J, crossover, little j, dot. Capital J, little j, dot. Capital J, little j, capital J, crossover, That's the letter J. Capital J, little j. My middle name is Joyce. J O Y C E. That's my middle name, Joyce. So I use the capital J when I sign my name. Does your name begin with the capital J? I had an uncle whose name was James. Capital J A M E S. Capital J. Capital J. Now you practice these because you see how I messed that one up? Takes practice. Let's do it again. Capital J, capital J, little j, dot, little j, dot, dot, dot. You don't lift your writing utensil for capital J. You lift it after you form the little j to put the dot, just like the letter I. Now the next letter is K. Let's try the letter K. K, we're going to make a smile down. Lift your pen or pencil, and we're going to come down to line 2, loop, and make a tail. Smile down. Move over, loop, tail. Smile down, move over, loop, tail. Smile down. Come on to the center, loop, K. Smile down. Lift, move over, K. Smile down. Lift, move over, K. Smile down. Center, K. Smile down, center, K. Now practice. Make yours look better than mine. Smile down, move over, loop, K. Smile down, move over, loop, K. K. That's the capital K. Now the little k, start at the third line. You're going to go up with your loop down, just like the H, but you're going to go K. Up, loop, down, back up, just like the H, but you're going to come in and you're going to make that K. I messed up. Up, down, up just like the H, K. Up, down just like the H, but you're going to come in K. Up, down, just like the H, but you're going to loop K. K. Don't forget that tail. Don't forget that tail. Let's do it again. Up, down, come up, just like you're making that H, but you're making the letter K. This is the small K, the little K. So you see, you can move a little bit faster on the K because you already know how to make that H. You're going to come up, down, just like the H, but you're going to loop and make your K. Up, down, K. Up, down, K. Up, down, K. Up, down, K. 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 Now let's add them together. That capital K, we're going to smile, come down and stop. Go back to that third line, loop, make that tail, capital K. Little K, we're going to come up, down just like the H, we're going to loop and make that little K. Capital K, smile down, move over, loop, K. Little K, up, down like the H, but we're going to little K. Little K, capital K. Little K. Capital K, little K. Capital K, little K. Now look, let me know if your first name begins with the letter K. And this is the little K. Capital K, lift your writing instrument. Oh, I'm making the letter H. I'm sorry, guys. Down, lift, K. Little K. Let me know if your first name begins with the letter K. Little K. Keep practicing. Down, capital K, loop, little K. Now, guys, this takes practice, and you can do it. Once you got it, you got it for the rest of your life. It was against the law in America a long time ago for African Americans, Black people, to be taught to read and write. When I heard that my nephew couldn't sign his name. It affected me so much. We've got to be able to sign our own names. If you run across this video, if you know any other teenagers, if you know anybody who cannot sign their name, maybe in some way these videos will help. Talk to me. Share them. And help somebody learn to sign their name. It's important. We've got to sign our names. We've got to know and understand how to form these little letters that we can sign our own names. You can do it. If you need my help, just let me know. Practice. Do a page of the K's. Take a snapshot. Send it to me and let me see your letter K. And if your name begins with the letter K or the letter I, let me know. Send me a picture and I'll help as much as possible if I can. I'm not an expert at writing, but if in some small way I can be of help in your learning to sign your name, it would be fantastic. So I'm going to try to come back to you as much as possible. The next time we'll do the letter L and the letter M. If you're on Facebook, like my page. If you're on YouTube, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and pass it on. If you know a teenager or you know a child that can't sign their names, if I can help, just let me know. If you got questions, send them to me and I'll try my best to get back with you. Let me know if this little piece of equipment that I invested in is of any help and you can see the letters better or see how I form them. Just let me know. Anything I need to repeat, let me know that. God has been good to us, so have an amazing, blessed day. Thank you for joining me.